By fire and air, water and earth, we call ye forth to the place of power in the north. Black spirits and white, red spirits and gray, we summon thee to wine, spirits, and witches this day.
Hello and welcome to Wine,
Spirits, and Witches. This is Monica.
And this is Shana, and we're your high priestess for this evening. And welcome back to Wine, Spirits, and Witches on audio and YouTube. So now you can listen to us and you can see us. There's been so many times that we have just been ridiculous and did something so funny and it needed to be captured on camera. So that's what we're trying to do. Except Monica still just does some really amazing shit off camera too. There was this moment where she was trying to pour her drink because she was like, I got Bailey's. Ricky gave her a fancy glass with ice, and then it poured like a couple drops and she went, oh, the cow ran dry.
Yeah, the cow is dry. Yeah.
And that would have been so good on camera. But you know what? You guys can all imagine it. We're just exercising everyone's imagination.
There you go. All. There you go.
So, what you drinking, Monica?
I have to settle for Modelo because I'm out of Bailey's. Modelo. I did the feminine version of Modelo.
There you go. There you go.
Cheers to everyone. Hey, what the hell? Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Let's pour it the right way. You might get a good burp out of me now.
Oh, yeah, that would be really good, huh? I mean, you probably get out of both of us. Beer does that.
Okay, yeah, it does.
There's something about a really nice, crisp beer.
Oh, yeah.
On a hot day. After a long day, it's good.
It hits the spot, doesn't it?
It sure does. It sure does. So I want to give a special shout out to our newest member of the Patreon Coven, Jan. Hi, Jan. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome, welcome.
We hope that you and everyone out there in Strangland are enjoying all of your extra content and the shenanigans and the cocktails and the between the cracks and between the butt cheeks.
Everything else that comes along
all
with
of
us.
It.
Yes. The whole enchilada. Yes.
Tonight we actually have a special request for the episode, and this was requested by Jason. So thank you for requesting this. Why does that sound like such a weird word? Request.
You know, sometimes when you say words and you say like,
you kind of have like a weird story moment with it, right?
Yeah, you're like, what the hell? Did I say that word right? You know what?
Yeah.
It just sounds so weird, you know?
I just really struggled with that one. I really did. But yeah, request. He had a request for urban magic and urban witchcraft and what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, we know Jason. We have met him. We've had pizza with him. He is darling, and I love him.
Yeah, that was a great time.
It was. It really was. And I actually had to stop and really think about this. And I was like, oh, urban magic. Well, I'm going to have to really think on this. And I'm going to have to look stuff up. And then you know what?
You didn't.
Because I realized I had to stop and be like, wait, we're urban witches.
We are.
We are. Like, and I was like, well, maybe we're not urban enough. I'm like, we live in Los Angeles. Like, that's
how much
pretty big
more
city.
Urban can you get? Yeah.
I mean, we've done witchcraft in Manhattan. Like, I think we can cover this. So I had to, like, really think on that one for a minute because I was unprepared and then realized how prepared I actually was. Yeah. So I got a couple interesting things. So I tried to go beyond what we normally talk about because I realized I'm like, with us being urban witches, a lot of what we're going to talk about normally would be urban witchcraft, right?
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
So I had to try and challenge myself to go a little bit beyond that.
Okay.
And I think I came up with some cool stuff.
Okay.
So the first thing that I want to talk about is the forest of the city. Okay, and I mean, sometimes you can actually find a lot of trees and plant life in cities. People don't think so, but that's kind of the whole point of Monica's Between the Cracks segment on Patreon that you do.
Right, yeah, because you'll be amazed what grows in between the cracks. I mean, just walking down the street, the most amazing things just grow. You just have to be aware and look at your surroundings.
Yeah, you have to just, and well, isn't there an app now too that you use to help identify plants?
Yeah, I have that app. It's called PlantNet, I believe, and you take a picture of the plant and then you post it, and then they like do their little research and it comes back within minutes and they give you the percentage of what they think it is, the highest and to the lowest, because there's a lot of plants that look alike.
And it's called PlantNet?
Yeah, I believe.
NET?
Yeah, PlantNet.
I think that is a really good one, and I think about that a lot because you have it, and it's really handy because I
It
feel
is.
like almost every time we're together, we find something,
Right.
you know? But you always see lists of like, oh, apps for the modern day witch to have, and it's always like a tarot card a day or something like astrology app. And don't get me wrong, those are cool.
Right.
But I never really feel like there's a lot of plant recommendations for
yeah.
apps on there. So that's a really good one to add to your kind of like digital book of shadows, so to speak. It's
Yeah.
really good.
And I think it's good for you because there, like I said, there are so many lookalikes, and you want to
Yeah.
make sure that you're using the right one and not a poisonous one in your magic or like
Or in your food.
ingesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really, really important. So
This is very true.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I've ever done that. Not the eating poison part, but
like finding poison. Yeah.
Or mistaken something for something else and be like, oh, and then had like a big oh shit moment.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
trying to
That
figure
it's
that.
pretty easy. Some plants really, really, truly look alike, and it's a little scary. Like Queen Anne's lace and yarrow. I mean, there's some that look really similar, and
Yeah.
yeah.
in
Hemlock, a poisonous
Yeah.
hemlock looks just like Queen Anne's lace, and it's like scary.
and you see that all over the place in Oregon. Like when I went to Oregon, and I think when we drove through Washington, we probably saw that
Oh,
too.
I'm
It
sure.
just grows everywhere.
Yeah.
Which, that's a really pretty weed to have, though. I don't think we get weeds that cool.
Yeah.
But that's
Well,
just,
I
you never
mean,
know.
one time I found belladonna growing.
Really?
Yeah.
Here?
It
What'd
just
you do with
appeared in my yard one day. So
It just appeared in her yard, and someone that was bugging her just disappeared.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, and the thing that I thought about when I was thinking about like the plant life in the city and using plant identifications and stuff like that is we all know that Monica loves lily of the valley.
yes, which is
And-
highly poisonous, by the way.
Is it? Oh,
Yes.
It smells so nice.
It
too.
does. It's just amazing, but it is poisonous.
We were in New York 2 years ago now. No, last year. Whatever, it doesn't matter. We were
Right.
in New York and we were in the city. We had just got done seeing Lady Rhea, and we walk across the street and Monica goes, "It's fucking Lily of the Valley!" And she was so excited, except it wasn't
In bloom
blooming
yet?
It
No,
wasn't
it was just the
blooming.
first little leaves coming out.
Yeah, but she saw it and she identified it. So I guess that's one thing I will say is even as an urban witch, know your plants.
Very
know
important.
the plants in your area, because even in New York City, Monica found something just growing there and she knew what it was, and that's how she would have known how to harness it energetically, which I think I asked you in the video. I was like, what's it for? You're like, I don't fucking know, I just love it.
Yeah,
Which
Yeah.
is good enough for me.
yeah. All I know is it is poisonous, so be
And
careful.
delightful.
It
Smell
is,
it
the
really
smell-
good, just don't eat it.
But isn't that interesting how it just lures you in with that amazing scent, and it's like
Kind of
danger,
like
danger.
how all the like brightly colored animals are all venomous.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So crazy.
Good for them.
Yeah, right?
Well, the forest of the city that I actually wanted to talk about isn't a forest at all. It's actually the buildings.
Ah,
The really old established buildings. And if you're in a city with a lot of skyscrapers, some of them may be very, very tall ones. And it's a little challenging because, especially like in Los Angeles, I feel like it's really hard to find old buildings. We don't get old here because people tear it down and build some ugly building on top of it usually.
yeah.
But once in a while, you can find an old established building. You can always look for historic landmarks. And the thing is because when we think of the forest, we think of the old ones, right? We think of the trees. We think of this
Absolutely,
old
yes.
spirits of the trees, everything that they've seen. Well, when we're looking at these buildings, especially the ones that are historic landmarks, the ones that have been there, they're kind of that equivalent for us. They have been there, they have seen it. Some of them are probably older than the trees that are planted along the sidewalk.
Right.
All right, so you have those to work with as far as like the spirit of the forest goes. That's the spirit of the forest of the city.
Of the concrete,
Mm-hmm.
of the concrete forest.
And you can use that for grounding. Is one thing. If you're walking down the street, you just got done with a job interview, you just had a really bad day, something like that, you're near an old building, just stop and put your hand on it and take a breath and just let that ground you. Or talk and connect with the spirit of that building. And just like, you're gonna look like a lunatic when you do it, but you know what, that's all right. Maybe people will just leave you alone.
Do you know what else old buildings have sometimes? They have
Ghosts?
amazing gargoyles.
Yeah.
They are the guardians. They are the watchers. I mean, that is so magical.
Absolutely.
In New York, there's a bunch of them. And some, I have seen gargoyles here on some houses in California. And I'm always like, oh, wow, okay, I know what that house is all about.
You know, what I've seen recently, because I work in Beverly Hills now, and so I drive through, like, Benedict Canyon and Mulholland and Beverly Glen. So all, like, for those of you that aren't from Los Angeles, I drive through, like, the really rich, bitch, bougie areas up in the hills that I'm probably too poor to even drive through. But one thing that I've noticed about some of these houses is that I don't know if I've seen any gargoyles per se outside of them, because you can't really see the houses. You just see like the privacy hedges. Yes. Yeah. But a lot of them will have statues of animals outside of them. I've noticed. I've seen one that has a statue of a gorilla.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I saw one that has a couple statues of deer. I think there's one that has a statue of a bear.
Wow.
So there's different animals that are outside, and these are different houses that I'm seeing. And one, it's like even like above the wall, so it's just like as you look over like the privacy wall, you just kind of see, I think that's the one with the gorilla. You see the gorilla like peeking over. It's like watching over the whole property.
Wow, well, that's a guardian.
Yeah, that's what I think, and I wonder if that's why it's actually there, or what the reason behind it being there. But that's what I always think. I think he's kind of just guarding the property.
Right, yeah. And you know what? I have seen in Burbank, actually, on what's the name of that street? Buena Vista. I turned my head the other day, and there's this big horse. It wasn't a real horse. It was like a metal horse. And I'm like, what the hell? It's huge. It's lifelike, and it's in someone's front yard.
You know what? There's a house that we go to for rituals once in a while, and on that street in the front yard, there's like a statue of a cow.
Oh, wow.
And like, if you're just like driving past or walking past it out of the corner of your eye, you might actually just think it's a cow.
Wow.
Yeah. So you've seen it. It's on the street of the manor. You've just probably never noticed the cow.
Probably not.
That's probably what it was.
Probably not.
So yeah, I guess that's another thing. Yeah, gargoyles, weird animal statues, things of that nature. You can definitely use that. That's a good one.
And you know what else is also amazing? Some of the gates they have around these buildings, they're magical. I mean, they have like the spikes coming up and the filigree, really beautiful.
A lot of them are iron.
Yes. And you know, what is iron for?
It's protective.
And grounding, yes.
Yes, it's protective, it's grounding, it keeps the fae folk out.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess if you're a bank, you might want to do that, right?
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
Well, so let's talk about banks real quick, because that's another one. While we're talking about the magic of buildings, the magic of the forest of the city, banks are a really good one, especially old banks or well-established banks. This might also go for businesses that are just really popping and thriving and respect in the community. That might be a good place to try and do some money magic, or get something from it to include into your money magic, things like that. So maybe go into the bank and get a teller slip. You know, that might be a good one. I mean, what would you think? Maybe some like plants, like some dirt from around it, or like a leaf from a tree. You can definitely do something like that. Or if you're making like money powder or something, and something like that you have to discard and get rid of, you can go take it to that bank and like sprinkle it around that property. That's what I would do. Work with that energy.
And what about the churches that are around?
Oh, yeah.
Some of them are very old.
I love when you see one that's just super old, so that it's like completely out of place with everything else around it, and you're like, what? Like that one in New York, I can't think of its name right now. It's that gorgeous cathedral just like in the middle of all the skyscrapers.
Right. Yeah.
You know what city had a shit ton of churches? Denver.
Really?
So many. Not just like little like churches that look like houses, like these really big, beautiful churches everywhere. It kind of surprised me. I wasn't expecting that.
Imagine what energy they hold.
You know, there's a part of me, I'm like, yeah, let's do magic there. And then I'm also like, no. I'll probably burn.
Yeah. But I mean,
I've gone into Catholic churches to get holy water before, and I guess you can buy it at some places, but like, I mean, I needed like a lot, and I went there with my friend, and we just straight out just brought a pickle jar and like took the lid and just scooped it and put like the bird bath things that they have. I don't know what they're called, like, you know, the holy water bird baths. Yeah, I felt like I was robbing the church though. It felt very weird. which made it funny but also terrifying because nuns are scary, and I was waiting for one to like chase us out with a ruler or something.
But do you notice the holy water in a church has that like vinegary kind of smell? That's because everybody's sticking their fingers in.
I wonder how they do it now because of like COVID protocols.
Oh God, I don't know.
They just like squirt you with a
maybe you
squirt
just
gun?
like maybe it's like you pull something in the. Wouldn't that be the best way to do it? Right? It's like pull the string and it goes and it squirts you and
the
cleanses
holy shower.
you. Yeah,
God.
I mean, right? That's another invention we can think of here.
The holy shower.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Felix is gonna get baptized soon, so that'll, we can try and get it ready for that.
Wow.
Can we sidebar real quick and just tell everyone the story about how I got Vinny in trouble with that? I can build on that, by the way.
Okay.
Okay. So, Vinny, Papa Strega, gave me a reading when he was in town. It was super awesome. So if any of you guys are local to LA and want a reading from him when he's in town, please hit us up because we can help you with that. It's really rad. And one of the things that he said at the end of my reading was, he's like, oh, your son needs to get baptized. And I said, oh, well, he's already had his wickening. I don't have to worry about that. And he's like, no, a real baptism. And I didn't say anything of it. And now I'm like, okay, you know what? I got to do this. Vinny said so. I got to get it done. So I'm trying to like get it all prepared, and I was talking to Monica on the phone, I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And I told her about it. She's like, well, he's already had his wickening. She did the wickening.
Yeah.
And she said, why is he? I'm like, well, Vinny says he needs a real one.
Real one. Okay, Vinny. Like what we did wasn't real. Hello.
She's saying it very nice now. That's not how she said it over the phone.
What the fuck did I say? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I called, and then it was even funnier because it looks like the date that everything is kind of being set up for the baptism looks like it'll be on Vinny's birthday, which was funny.
Serves him right.
So I called him to tell him, and he's actually going to be in town. So I love that I'm going to force him to be at a Catholic church for his birthday. But then I told him, I was like, oh yeah, I got you in trouble because I said that, you said it had to be a real baptism. He's like, well, I just said that because, that way it'll just make your mother-in-law happy. And I was like, you motherfucker, is that the only reason why we're doing this? Like, I've gone just for that? Like, I thought there's some big mystical purpose. I was like, no, the Bible out said he has to get baptized. We got to do it. And that was it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, well, I mean, and he starts trying to backtrack and give me some like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think we actually did figure out that there is a spiritual purpose that was required for it, but I don't think that was the main motivation of it. Yeah. So anyway, the whole point is now Vinny's in the doghouse with both of us.
Right.
If you're watching this, Vinny, we love you. Get back to the doghouse.
Yeah. Woof, woof.
Woof, woof. So that's what I have on just like the forest of the city. And
the cement forest.
Yes, the cement forest. How to work with the buildings of the city. How to just like go make friends and build relationships with the spirits of these buildings and of these places. And it doesn't have to be all of them. It can be just the ones that call to you.
Right. Exactly.
What you got?
Well, you know what? Living in the city, some of us live in apartments. They're really small. There's no earth around them. Usually there's not a yard that is attached or anything like with trees. So what you need to do is you need to bring that into your household. And it's simple. They have those beautiful planters that have all the little side things that come out. That
like the little shelves almost that kind of hang out the balconies.
And you can put in there all different herbs and grow it right in your kitchen. Right there in your kitchen. I've done it before when I didn't have a backyard space. So you bring the space into your house, and then you have all your magical herbs right there in front of you, and kind of nurture them and take care of them, of course, but that's one way of bringing that nature into your household.
You don't have to stop at just herbs, though. You can do, houseplants have magical purposes.
Yes, they do. Oh, yeah, they do.
Learn your houseplant magic.
Yes, absolutely. Well, they say by putting a jade plant, the jade plant, the big succulent ones, right? Back east, they're small. Here, they're like trees. It's amazing.
Yeah, they're huge.
But they say if you put one in front of your front door, it'll bring money to you.
Yes, money and luck.
There you go. Mm-hmm. So get your jade plant, put it on your front door.
I'll give you guys one more. Spider plants. Also, some people call them creeping Charlies. Those ones are pretty easy to grow.
Yes.
one of the things that they're good for is friendship, because when they're happy, when the plants are happy, they give little offshoots of little babies.
Yeah, they
right?
do.
Which would be good for fertility magic, I would think.
I think so too.
But if you take one of those babies and you root it and then you give it to someone, it's said to bring a blessing and a bond to that friendship.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Isn't that sweet?
That's very
I
sweet.
Like that.
I'm one for giving away aloes because, you know, aloes, not only are they magical because, you know, they help with a lot of things, right? Aloes, but medicinally, you should have one in your kitchen for burns. You just pop one off and rub it on your burn. And they, when
sunburns too.
Yeah,
works really well.
And when they grow, they have little offshoots of little babies as well. And I've given away a lot of little babies. I always ask someone, "Do you have an aloe?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, you need an aloe. Let me bring you an aloe." And I brought many people an aloe, and now they're huge.
I remember reading once that aloe, if you put it on your altar, it brings spiritual protection.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I feel like that would be really hard to grow one of the, I mean, you never know. Aloes don't need as much sunlight as people think they do.
They don't.
Yeah,
they don't.
so you might be able to grow one, at least for a little bit, on your altar, because they do get very big.
They do.
But if you have an outside altar too, though, like, really good to put there to bring protection to you and to the property.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one thing you can do. So yeah.
I have another really fun one that you can do. And this is with public transportation. And I almost want to laugh as I say this because I don't believe in public transportation.
Hate it.
I say that because in LA, the public transportation here is terrible.
Slow.
It is so bad, which is the first reason why I hate it. But I also hate it because I attract fucking crazy. I attract crazy
Oh my God.
so hard.
Oh yeah.
It's just, and so does Monica. So
Yeah.
one day we decided that it'd be smart to take public transportation together. And I think about that now and I'm like, why the fuck did Ricky let us? What's wrong with him?
I don't know. Did he know?
I mean, he had to have. I must have said something.
I don't know.
I don't know. Well, that was the lapse in judgment for everyone involved and in the know about it. Monica ends up making friends with some homeless guy on the way home who was convinced that she and him were my parents.
Yeah. That was insane. That was insane.
Yeah,
he was.
And then he handed you a prescription bottle full of something, and he left.
I was like, okay, here we go. Crazy number 2.
I mean, so I just, again, like, weird shit like that happens. So I try and tend to avoid public transportation unless I have a babysitter with me. Also one that hopefully is directionally inclined, because I am not. But things that we can do with public transportation. If you want a really wild, weird time, you just take a ride with me and Monica on the subway.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen for you.
Oh yeah. Guaranteed.
But you can also use it to get rid of things.
Oh.
You know, you want to, like, get rid of some energy that is, like, feels almost like staticky, your anxiety, whatever it is. Go hop on the train and just leave there. Think about it and just, like, leave it as you go. Just, like, leave it on the train and imagine that train just taking it, and then you get off and it just goes with it. And you just,
that's
let
not
it
very
go.
nice. You leaving all that negativity for the people that are on the train.
I'm sorry. Are you fucking telling me that it's, like, good energy up in these trains? I'm sorry. What?
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah.
I wasn't done yet, but you go ahead and do what you guys gotta do, because it's not like we're leaving that like a fucking church or a daycare. It's the goddamn subway.
Okay. All right, but still.
The other place that you can do that with is at cemeteries, but I feel like that's a different episode completely.
Yes.
Another thing that you can do with public transportation, on a nicer note, is you can also write little wishes or blessings on pieces of paper or bay leaves. I like pieces of paper for this because I want them to be, like, intact, and you can tuck them away in the seats or different places where people will find them, and you enchant it as you write it and fold it, so that when whoever it is opens it,
they get that blessing.
You both get that blessing.
That's sweet. I like that one better than the other one.
All right, caca energy. So you can definitely do the wish one.
I need a drink on that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say you haven't really drank in a minute.
There we go.
I think you should have one more drink so you get nice and goofy.
Okay, one more. What about you?
I don't know. Hers kind of sounded like it had some heft to it. So.
Yeah, it does.
Anyway, on that same note, that you can use your technology, and when I say use your technology, I mean use your TV, your phone, your microwave, any tech that you have, your computer, to kind of help amplify things and almost use them like affirmations. So first of all, you can text message affirmations or email them to yourself, to someone in your coven, a witchy inclined friend that you have, as a way of like bringing that and amplifying it out there, because like the radio waves and the technology angels and gods have to like take that shit and move it, right? And so that means that you're taking that intent and you're moving it outward. And not just that, whoever's opening on the other end, it's showing that your wish is received, the affirmation is received and acknowledged. So you can use that as a blessing. Very similarly, you can kind of put your hand on like a telephone pole and kind of put whatever intention you need out there so that the wires take it with it and kind of let it go there. So use technology to your advantage. You have to get creative with it, but it's definitely possible. Do you have any other like little switchy tidbits? Pets. For instance, Cuban witch friend Marisol used to have a turtle, and that used to just walk around her apartment. And she said, this turtle like cleanses the space as it walks around. Oh, I love that.
Isn't that cool?
I really like that.
That little guy, little box turtle, he just would walk around free. I said, what does he eat? Whatever he finds. Okay. But that's what she said, that he just, that he cleans the space as he walks around.
All right, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, on animals, even though we're in the city and we definitely don't have all of the cool wildlife as someplace that, like, Florida has fucking kick-ass wildlife, even in like some of the city areas. They got some cool stuff. But even when you're in the city, there's still wildlife there. Pigeons are fucking cool. I don't care what anyone says.
Yes, those rats with wings are cool.
They are. That's what Ricky calls them too. But hey, man, they're powerful.
They are. They're message bringers. They're message deliverers.
They're way smarter than people want to give them credit for, and they're war heroes. Did you know that they have been war heroes in the past? Think about that. They're resilient.
Yeah, I mean,
and they show you strength in numbers and community, and survival. So that's a really good one.
I think so. Yeah.
And there's a lot of we have a lot of ravens here.
Yes, we do.
Squirrels are a really big one. So you got to think about what your urban wildlife is, and once you can kind of identify it, then you learn their energy. You learn what the message is. You're gonna go get Ted Andrews' book, Animals Speak and Animal Talk, and you're gonna go figure it all out. Animal Wise. There we go. And you're gonna just get it all figured out. You're gonna learn about them and the messages that they carry and the energy that they carry. And if you're lucky, they might even give you a feather.
Yes, and that's very magical. Yes.
And a way for you to connect with them and bond with them is to feed them and support their environment. And there's actually a lot of cool people on TikTok now that talk about that in different ways that you can do that, which is super cool.
Right. And you know that ravens and crows, they recognize you. Yeah. They're very smart. They recognize you, and they, that I think that's cool in itself, that they recognize the same person. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. So you can definitely still work some animal magic in the city, most definitely. And I feel like it's a special bond too, because not everyone in cities and more urban areas are nice to animals, and you can build that relationship. It's really special and it's really sweet. So that's definitely something you can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have one more good urban witch tip for everyone. And that is, don't forget about your simple daily rituals, like enchanting your coffee. That is my really big one right now. I love putting ground cinnamon in my coffee before I brew it. So that way my coffee has a hint of cinnamon, which is good for just fast-paced motion, which is perfect for coffee. It's
motivation.
Good for anything fiery, passion, sexy time, monies,
yes,
all of those things. I'm also a pumpkin slut, so sometimes I will just use pumpkin spice and put that in there. And the big joke that kind of goes around online now is if you really look at all the constituents that go into pumpkin spice, it actually is the perfect protection spell. So know your spices and what complements your coffee or your tea well, and turn that into a daily ritual. Don't forget to color coordinate your makeup and your clothing for either the planetary days of the week or whatever your intention is. And charge up some jewelry with special intention and wear that accordingly.
And if you're a musician, you could start your day by hitting a certain note, which I don't know off the top of my head, which corresponds with each of the chakras, and then you can just play that note if you want to stimulate your crown chakra or your throat chakra, your heart chakra.
I like that. That's a good one.
It is a good one. And you can incorporate that in your music. And every time I teach my candle magic class, I incorporate that in it for the musicians. If there's anybody who's musically inclined, when you're doing your magic, you can play the songs in the key of G or E or whatever like that.
I like that a lot.
Yeah,
I think
it's pretty cool.
A really cool one.
Yeah, it is really cool.
I'm just looking over my notes. So also going back to like your unwanted caca energy, maybe this one's a little bit nicer since Monica disapproves. You can also leave it in abandoned buildings. So that's another one. Just don't go in the abandoned building because there might be a boogeyman.
Yeah, or unwanted things in there.
Yeah, exactly. But you can also leave your, just like throw it as you go. But don't forget sigils, amulets, talismans. Those are all very easy ones that you can always work and put into things. I've seen people draw them on the bottom of their shoes. I see a lot of people put communication or like return to me sigils like in their phone case to try and protect their phone.
Right.
Different things like that. I think we actually did a spell of the month on Patreon.
Right.
That way with like, it was a phone spell that Stephanie gave to our listeners. So there's a lot of different things as far as that goes. Get creative, because once you kind of tap into that flow, like the possibilities are endless and you can do that anywhere.
And don't forget, living in the city or like anywhere though, clean your space where you live, because clean space, clean thoughts, clean mind, and that's, you'll be thinking a lot clearer and a lot cleaner.
No caca energy up in this bitch.
No. Real seriously, because if your house is,
seriously.
You know, I freak out if roommate leaves dishes in the sink. I'm like, don't you want to freaking sleep tonight? Clean your dishes, because you know that it's just like clear. That's how it's going to be. It's going to be clear. So the little things you do. Yeah, it is true. It's very true.
I'm usually such a neat freak, but I work so much and I have a tiny human.
And it's hard.
And
it is hard.
So hard. But it's one of those things that I have noticed that my thoughts aren't as clear. My energy isn't as clear. And it's just because like I feel like when I come home and it's time to unwind, you can't unwind when you're thinking about the dishes that need done.
Right.
Or like the laundry that you gotta fold. So just, keep your space clean. It keeps you clean. Yeah. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
It's true.
I like it. Do you have anything else for our urban witches?
And you know, the feng shui thing, you know, the way you situate your furniture and where you place your bed. They say never to place your bed so it's facing out the door, because that's the way they carry you out when you die. So you never face the foot, you know, you never face the doorway.
I've never heard that one.
Oh yeah, big time. I will not ever, you'll never see my bed facing the door ever.
Makes a lot of sense. I've also heard to not put it so that your head is in like the south corner. Yeah. And make sure that there isn't a mirror that like faces you while you sleep, because mirrors are portals, and so you don't want anything. You don't want to like get lost when you're sleeping, and you don't want anything to come in.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, watch out for those mirrors. Absolutely, for sure.
Well, that's what I've got,
and that's what I've got.
I'm sure there's actually more.
Now there's so much more. Thinking about it, right?
Aware of the stuff that I do.
Yeah,
you know, and kind of just see what that is. If you guys have anything, depending on the region that you live in, that you want to share, maybe if you're an urban witch too, what do you guys do that you think is very city witch? Or if you're a country witch or a swamp witch, or just whatever region that you're in, like what kind of magic do you find that you do that you think is special to your area because of like what's around you?
Oh, one last thing. Did you read last week, we're talking about the animals of your area? Did you read last week there was a bear in freaking Burbank?
You know I don't like bears, Monica.
I know, but what the hell? Burbank? Come on.
Well, yeah, there's hills and stuff.
Oh my God!
I mean,
I just
in Monrovia, they like go in like chill in people's swimming pools.
I know. It was in someone's like jacuzzi. Go figure. Burbank, right?
I think I actually saw that. I didn't know that was in Burbank.
Yeah, it was. Mm-hmm.
Well,
yep.
Good for him, and don't let your dogs out unattended.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or your kitties, for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, you really shouldn't do that anyway, because we still do have hawks and owls and coyotes.
Yes,
too,
we do.
So
we sure do. Even though they're turning into city dwellers too.
Like I said, city wildlife. There you have it.
There you go.
Apparently, we get to add bears to that now.
Yeah, crazy.
If I ever see a bear walking down my street, I'm never leaving the house.
It's scary.
Yeah, that's a scary one. No kidding.
It is.
So who's your shout out?
My shout out is to all those Leos out there having birthdays this month. Space Daddy for #1.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, Space Daddy.
Yeah, it's coming in, and Linda from the store is having her birthday too.
Oh, is she a Leo too?
Yeah, so many Leos, so many Leos around.
Tracy Brown.
Tracy Brown,
one of our favorite Leos.
Happy birthday. So I'm just wishing all those Leos out there happy birthday.
Happy birthday to all of our Leos.
And who's your shout out?
My shout out, I had to think about who I want it to be, and I've decided that I want to shout out to Stephanie, Dahmer's mother-in-law.
Oh, okay.
She's been a guest on the show and shared some of her wonderful magic and her inspiring story. But she's also just awesome. I've seen her a couple times recently in class and at rituals, and Every time I think of any kind of Bob's Burger reference, I know the only people that will understand it are her and Ricky, and I love that. And I think she's magical and fabulous, and she is my dog's mother-in-law.
Wow.
And that's an important person to be.
Yeah, there you go.
So shout out to you, Stephanie. I love you. And shout out to everyone that is listening. Don't forget to go visit us on YouTube. Don't forget to hit subscribe. We love you. We will see you soon. If you have any suggestions on things you would like us to cover, like how Jason requested we look at this, please email it to winespiritsandwitches@gmail.com. Don't forget to send in your stories and your questions as well. And we will see you next time. Merry meet.
Merry